Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. This is Jesse with the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things through a common sense lens. And well, as predicted by all of the content creators, all of the analysts out there on YouTube who look at things that are outside of the legacy media, Captain America Brave New World, I almost said it. Captain America Brave New World is going to have a massive second weekend drop after all of the legacy institutions, after the Hollywood Reporter and Deadline. Everybody else is like, oh, the movie's such a success. It's the highest grossing opening weekend of the year. And oh my God, it's doing so well and yada, yada, yada. Well, considering the fact that those exact same legacy institutions absolutely obliterated this movie and hated it, where it literally has like a 50% score from the critics on Rotten Tomatoes, and I think it's only got like a 78% score on Rotten Tomatoes from the audience out there, which is not good. I know it sounds nice, but it is not good. Remember back in the day where a 78 was a C? Yeah, you passed, but is it really a good grade? No, it's not, boys and girls. Well, like so many of us out there said that the drop for the next weekend was going to be bad, could be anywhere from 60 to 70%. Hey, guess what? We're not the only ones saying it anymore, because as you can see over here from thatparkplace.com, Captain America Brave New World predicted to have a 70% drop in second weekend, tracking for one of Marvel's worst box office performances. And yes, boys and girls, just like we did the math in our last video over the box office when it comes to Captain Black America, a 70% drop guarantees this movie will not make a profit even at the reported $180 million budget, which is a complete and total farce. It is an absolute lie. This movie cost them anywhere between $300 and $350 million. Don't believe me? Well, guess what? Check all the times that the Hollywood trades out there have lied to you in the past, and then we get to find out from all of the tax returns from our dear sweet United Kingdom over there to prove that, yes, the estimates, the rumors were all completely and totally true. And if anything else, it was worse than what a lot of the rumor mill had actually ended up reporting, which is going to be the exact same with Captain Black America. And needless to say, boys and girls, now it is confirmed this movie is going to be an absolute flop. And I cannot wait to report to you guys next week how accurate this actually is. And that's going to be the fun part about all of this. So we're going to check out the article from thatparkplace.com, getting all of the juicy details. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing, and I could not do that without every single one of you. We just crossed 1,600. We're on our way to 1,700, so please smash that little subscribe button down below. It doesn't cost you a single thing. And let us know what you think about all of this in the comment section down below. Do you believe these responses are going to be accurate out there? Do you think there are a lot of people out there that are actually going to go out and see this movie on the following weekend? Or do you think that the Hollywood predictions are absolutely accurate? If not, it'll be even worse, and this movie is a guaranteed loss for the Disney Marvel company. Let us know what you think about all that in the comment section down below. And if you'd like to support the channel, please check out the links in the description as well. All right, from thatparkplace.com and our dear sweet WDW Pro. The legacy media called it a $100 million opening weekend, and despite their sneaky use of 5 days to count as a first weekend, we're holding them to it. As a result, Captain America Brave New World is on track for one of its steepest second weekend drops in the history of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Projections indicate that the film will plummet around 70% in domestic earnings, bringing in just over $30 million in its sophomore frame. $30 million. $30 million, bringing the grand total of the domestic box office to $130 million and some change, boys and girls. Remember, we said this in the past, a best case scenario is you have a 50% drop weekend over weekend. So best case scenario, right? And remember, this movie performed better domestically than it did internationally. Okay, so if you have a 50% drop weekend over weekend, which is best case scenario, 15 million, $7.5 million, boys and girls, that is not going to get you to the $500 million this movie has to make based strictly on what the trades are reporting, the $180 million budget. Right? Not the $1 billion that this movie actually needs to make a profit. No. The $500 million. It's never going to hit that. The international market is not going to save it because it was less than the domestic market. This is insane. If this trajectory holds, its worldwide haul for the second weekend will struggle to surpass 50 million, putting its long-term prospects in jeopardy. Should the film fail to reach the crucial $400 million global benchmark as it winds down its theatrical window, it will go down as one of Marvel Studios' biggest misfires and an outright embarrassment for the once unshakable franchise. I wonder if we'll see Anthony Mackie back as Captain America in his own movie again. Yeah, me thinks not. The projected 70% drop is among the worst declines ever for an MCU film, placing Brave New World in the same company as The Marvels, minus 78%, and possibly Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, negative 70% drop. The latter struggled to sustain momentum after its opening weekend, ultimately failing to turn a significant profit, and the Brave New World that now appears to be headed down a similar path. While high second weekend drop-offs have become more common in the post-pandemic era, the magnitude of this decline signals deeper concerns for the film and the broader MCU brand. Now, obviously, this decline did not happen with Deadpool and Wolverine, which is a movie that audiences absolutely loved and went back and saw multiple times. So, yeah, it's not always the rule. When something's good, guess what? The word of mouth will carry it all the way to $1 billion. Captain Black America ain't that. Even with excluding the additional day from the president's holiday weekend, the film's adjusted 3-day debut of $88 million would still result in a troubling 66% drop. Lines up right what we said, 60 to 70%. That kind of decline typically indicates weak word of mouth, a lack of repeat viewings, and a general loss of audience interest, none of which will bode well for the film's overall run. Again, 66% puts it in the lowest of the low MCU company. Perhaps even worse, Brave New World is performing better domestically than internationally. Exactly. And that is insane. You're talking about the United States of America and its 50 states are making more money for this movie than the entire rest of the globe and all of its countries out there. That is a very, very bad sign internationally. This movie is going to flop. For context, its predecessor, Captain America: Civil War, made $1.15 billion worldwide, while The Winter Soldier and The First Avenger grossed $714 million and $370 million, respectively. For a mainline Captain America film to underperform so significantly would signal serious brand fatigue. It's not brand fatigue, Pro. I know you're trying to be nice and you're trying to not just automatically assume it's all diversity, inclusion, and equity's fault, but we know why, right? Because guess what? Falcon as Captain America didn't work in the comics, and it's not going to work in live action either. I don't know what it's going to take to get this through people's brains. What failed in the comics is going to fail with the general audience as well. You are not smarter, better, faster. You will not be like God. You will not be like the one on the Most High. You cannot do better than what these other people did with the original source material that made all of this so successful. You are going to fail and flop just like it flopped in the comic books. There's no difference whatsoever when it comes to this kind of nonsense. Adjusted for inflation, and especially adjusted for increased price of movie tickets, the returns for the newest Captain America film is horrific. Several factors have contributed to the film's underwhelming box office. The most immediate appears to be its mixed reception. Critics have been lukewarm at best, with the film holding a 50% Rotten Tomatoes, one of the lowest scores in MCU history. This coming from the same people that praised Eternals and Captain Marvel, boys and girls. Even they couldn't lie. I don't know if the Disney checks aren't clearing anymore, or maybe they finally gotten tired of getting egg on their face when they say something's fabulous and then it loses billions of dollars. Yeah, probably probably a little bit of a mix of the both. While the audience score is more favorable at 80%, that's only the confirmed audience. The actual all audience score is lower than that. That hasn't been enough of it to offset concerns over the film's quality. And also, don't forget the B- cinema score, right? The lowest in MCU history out there. Yeah. Additionally, seeming efforts from legacy media to present the film as a gigantic success in its first weekend, despite performing around the level of Eternals, appears to have no positive impact and may have wiped out even further, confirming the confidence in the legacy media and access media analysts. I mean, honestly, is anybody paying attention to those guys anymore? And if you believe Disney spent $180 million on this movie in total, it's time to get out of the job of reporting on movie financials. Yeah. Adding to the problem is the film's B- cinema score, which we just talked about. Another major factor is the film's troubled production, reports of extensive reshoots, last-minute edits. We talked about all of this stuff before. We've talked about this a million times before. We know about they basically reshot this entire movie last summer, right? They changed a bunch of things. They canceled like this WWE wrestler or whatever. They removed him in order to have Giancarlo Esposito in the film and actually put him in a whole bunch more. I mean, Giancarlo Esposito, I think, mentioned like back in October, or maybe it was like November or December, that he literally just like a month ago, he'd been like back at reshoots. So they were literally doing reshoots like less than like 2 months before this movie was actually going to come out. And even with the internal reports we heard from all inside of the Disney Marvel guys out there, that basically they said the movie was good enough. It was serviceable. They never even had any kind of confidence. All of their test screenings early on were abysmal, which is why they went back and reshot this entire movie. I mean, this thing has had nothing but problems right from the very beginning. Brave New World was supposed to reinvigorate the Captain America brand with Anthony Mackie's Sam Wilson fully stepping into the iconic role. Instead, its steep second weekend drop and lukewarm reception suggests that the audiences aren't connecting with the film as Marvel had hoped. If the film continues its downward trajectory, it could force the studio to rethink its approach to future projects. The MCU's recent struggles raise pressing questions about its long-term viability and whether the franchise can recapture the magic that once made it the gold standard of blockbuster filmmaking. For now, Brave New World stands as a cautionary tale of a cinematic universe in crisis. Yep. Go woke, go broke, because we know beyond a shadow of a doubt the only reason they made Anthony Mackie Captain America was because of diversity, inclusion, and equity. Because if you were actually following the comics and lining up with that, you would have made Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, Captain America first. But oh, no, we had to skip right over that so we could have a black man as Captain America and watch it fail at the box office just like it did in the comics out there. And I mean, come on. Did anybody watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Did you see the clips from it with all the race-baiting nonsense? Sam Wilson, one of the most famous heroes on the planet, a guy that was part of the Avengers, can't go to the bank to get a loan. Oh, cops stop him and ask Bucky Barnes if this black man is harassing them. I mean, this was a DIE right from the start, boys and girls. And guess what? It's going to murder their box office. This movie cost them at minimum $300 million to make, and they are not even going to come close to sniffing a profit. And everybody inside of Disney Marvel knows it. The Access media can shill all they want, trying to say this opening weekend was such a success, but I would be really curious to see how they spin this drop when it comes this weekend, because this movie is going to be a giant, massive failure for the Walt Disney Company once again, and it's just another leftover from the dark ages of Disney Marvel where diversity, inclusion, and equity ran the roost. But guess what? At the end of the day, the audiences and the fans decide, and the fans have decided that Captain Black America is going to be a flop.